Right. Okay, so this is number 191 YouTube Live Yoga Routine. And this morning, I just want to talk about how stability is in flexibility and how this is understood in yoga on the yoga mat. And then how this transfers to the mind, which allows you to get off the yoga mat and be stable through flexibility in the so-called real world. So, stability in the mountain pose, for example, is not to stay unmoved, like stable as much as you can. The stability is a thread that goes through the skeleton. So when you're in the mountain pose, you're stable when you are flexible. So you go with the movement, go back and forth. So if you start to wobble, you are stable if you go with the wobble. Just for an example. That is true stability. Because if you're stable and you're firm and something happens, you try to fight against that, then that's not being stable. Because what we're learning on the yoga mat and what your mind is learning is to go with the flow. Learning how to go with the flow. That's true stability. And you're doing that, and that transfers to the mind. You take that off the yoga mat, and you go throughout the day, and you are stable because you are flexible. You're going with the flow of what's happening throughout the day. Now, this happens in yoga because the foundation of yoga is oneness. So you're finding that you are stable in the oneness, in the capital O oneness. That is where true stability exists, in this totality of oneness, that you are one with everything. So when you're in the mountain pose, and I'm just using the mountain pose as an example, when the body wants to move, and it does move, it's because you are part of the oneness. You're not by yourself. So say the left thigh tightens up and you go with it. Or you just feel a movement for whatever reason. For whatever reason, you go with the flow because there's other things in this oneness that you go with the flow with. That is the foundation of yoga. Now, today we're going to try to focus on this stability as we do the yoga routine. And we're going to do 4 plank poses. And we're going to find that stability. So when the body starts shaking, if it shakes, you go with the shake. If you feel like, man, I need to bring myself out of the pose a little bit because you want to go, or you think you should go into modification of it with the knees to the floor, then you're flexible because that's where true stability is. You go with it. You listen to yourself and you go with it. And then you take this type of mindset off the yoga mat. And the true stability is realizing you're part of this oneness, which is yoga. You're part of everything that exists. And you go through life this way. You're not by yourself. And when you realize you're not by yourself, then you understand the world in a deeper way. So let's go ahead and begin. I've got to have my glasses on. So feet are shoulder width apart, toes go up, spread the toes as wide as you can. Each toe touches the floor one at a time. Knees are bent, hips are tilted, arms are relaxed, no tension in the shoulders or the arms or the neck. And you're lengthening up. So you take the skeleton, pull the skeleton up, then let the bones sit on top of each other. You're finding that thread of stability that runs through the bones, wherever that may be. Don't judge yourself. Don't think, I need to go this way because I saw this in a book or I saw this on YouTube. Just find your stability in yourself, wherever that may be. And then what happens, if you feel like you need to wobble and you need to go back, go with it. And if you need to go forward, go with it. There's a slight movement many times. And even if you feel like, man, I'm perfectly still, you're still moving. Believe it or not, you are still slightly, unnoticeably moving. Because you are not alone. Your body is your body, but it's not by itself. It's connected to the floor. It's connected to the mat. It's connected to the air. You're going to get the mind stable by being able to be flexible. So find that spot. Just become stable. Now, in the mountain pose, you're going to focus on the breathing. 100% on the breathing. And you do that by focusing on the belly. So when you inhale, the belly expands with air just slightly. And when you exhale, the belly goes in. You're watching that. Or you're going to watch the air go in and out of the nose by bringing your focus to the tip of the nose. Finding stability. The palms together, thumbs to the heart center. Push the arms out, up and back. Inhale slowly. And then exhale. As you exhale, you hinge forward from the lower back. You're reaching out. And you're just going to fall into ragdoll. With the ragdoll, the arms are dangling. Head is dangling. No tension anywhere. And you just release. Let the body fall where the body falls. Do not pull yourself down or push yourself down. You're just accepting where you are. That is part of stability, acceptance. It hinges on acceptance because acceptance is the door that allows you to go into openness and oneness. Letting go of judgment. Letting go of trying to be somewhere. Just be and focus on the breathing. Palms to the calves, elbows into the sides of the legs. You're going to arch the back, raise the head. Inhale as much as you can. And then exhale. As you exhale, you pull yourself in and down. Foreheads go to the knees. Get all the air out. And again, arch the back, raise the head. Inhale. And then exhale. As you exhale, you pull yourself in, push all the air out. And again, arch the back, raise the head, inhale. Then exhale, pull yourself in, push all the air out. Palms to the sides of the feet. Left leg is back into a low lunge. With a low lunge, top of the foot to the floor, knees to the floor. Hips are square, pushing forward diagonally. Back is arching, head is up. You're feeling open. And make sure the front knee is not over the toes. If it is, lengthen up some and just focus on the breathing. Do not judge yourself in the pose. Once you're settled, you are accepting. You just focus on the breathing. The breathing is the link that allows the mind and body to become one. When you're 100% focused on the breathing, you cannot have judgment. You let go of control. You just accept and feel opened. Think of nothing else but of the breathing. And that heightens your awareness. The focus on the breathing heightens your awareness. It lets you feel what's being stretched. It lets you feel what's going on in the body. Just focus on the breathing. You're going to go to high lunge. With the high lunge, curl the toes under the back. Knee goes up. Get the leg as straight as you can. We're just going to stay here for a second or so as a transition pose, and then move into the downward dog. With the downward dog, arms are straight, legs are straight, tailbones to the ceiling, heels are towards the floor, and you are pushing into this pose, but you're only pushing to the spot right before you feel like you shouldn't go any further. Find that spot, settle there, accept where you are, and focus 100% on the breathing, thinking of nothing else but of the breathing. You're finding that stability in the pose. So if you feel like you need to come out of it a little bit, get more stable, do so. If you need to go into it a little bit more, do so. If you're perfect or you feel like you're perfect in the pose, just stay there and feel stable. Now, physically, the abs are engaged. You're not hollowing up abs, but you are engaging the abs. Belly buttons into the spine. Just focus on the breathing. 100% focus on the breathing. I need to get my stopwatch. Timer, stopwatch. So we're going to go into the plank. So with the plank, you're going to go up. You're going to go into it. Now, if you need to modify the plank, you go down to hands and knees. If that's too difficult, you just go back a little bit. But whatever you're doing, get the fingers as wide as you can. Middle fingers are pointing straight out. Abs are engaged. You can have the head up a little bit or straight and just do the best you can. Now you're finding that stability in this pose. The abs are engaged, but you're focusing 100% on the breathing. And you think of nothing else but of the breathing. And you're feeling stable in the pose. Make sure you feel stable. Find that stability. That means once you find it, you move a little bit, go with the movement. That is true stability. Become stable, transfers to a stable mind, and then you go off the yoga mat and you become stable in the so-called real world. Now, back to downward dog, pushing into it. Really, really push into it. Arms are straight, legs are straight, tailbones to the ceiling, heels are towards the floor or into the floor. And you are pushing into this pose, but you only push into the spot right before you feel like you shouldn't go any further. Find that spot, settle there, and focus on the breathing. Now you can slide into the upper dog. You drop down to the knees, in the chest. You slide up. Tops of the feet are to the floor. Palms, of course, are to the floor. You're focused on the breathing. You're feeling open. Now, to modify this pose, you're going to go to hands and knees. You're going to do the cow, arch the back. Or you go to small cobra. Belly's on the floor. Palms are touching the floor, but you're not using them. You're not pushing up. You're pulling up. And then chest off the floor. And just focus 100% on the breathing. Now back to downward dog, pushing into it. Really, really, really push into it now. Arms are straight. Legs are straight. Find that spot where you feel like you shouldn't go any further. Settle there. Accept. And just relax. And find that stability. Once you find that stability, it's almost like you're not in the pose any longer. You've tapped into oneness. The body feels one. You feel stable. The stability transfers to the mind. You have a stable mind. It's all in the flexibility. So if you start to shake a little bit, or you start to move a little bit, or you're feeling discomfort, go with it. Fix it. And let go of that discomfort if you can. And then you're going to go back to a plank. Look at my stopwatch. I need to set my phone where the timer doesn't come off. The screen doesn't come off. Again, middle fingers are pointing straight out. Abs are engaged. Modify the pose how you have to. And just focus 100% on the breathing. Think of nothing else but of the breathing. If you're moving a little bit, that's perfectly fine. Even if mentally You feel like, man, I need to bring myself out of it. I don't feel like doing it. And don't. Go with that too. That's stability too. It's just not about the body saying, hey, can't do it. It's about the mind sometimes. Sometimes the mind is telling you what to do, not just the body. Listen. Abs are engaged. Focus on the breathing. If the arms are getting tired and starting to shake, go with it. Accept it. Stability is in the acceptance, in the flexibility, in the flow. And then back to downward dog, pushing into it. Really, really, really push into it. And then left foot is up between the hands into a low lunge. Low lunge, but can't speak. The back foot, top of the foot's to the floor, knees to the floor, hips are square, pushing forward diagonally. Back is arching, head is going up. Make sure the front knee is not over the toes. If it is, lengthen up some and just focus 100% on the breathing. Thinking of nothing else but of the breathing. Feeling opened. Openness is a key too. You feel open, you take that off the yoga mat, you feel open throughout the day. New thinking, new feeling of just openness, acceptance, going with the flow, all those positive type of words. So with the foot, back foot, curl toes under, knee goes up, just for a second or so, get the leg as straight as you can, high lunge, transition pose, and then standing forward bend. Pull yourself in and down, and just focus 100% on the breathing, thinking of nothing else but of the breathing. Relax into it. Now palms together, reach out, up and back, inhale. Finding that thread of stability still. Exhale, turn the palms out, push the hair down and out. And then inhale, think of stability. Still finding that stability in this movement. You're finding the stability in the movement, in the flexibility, in the flow. And then pull yourself in and down and focus on the breathing. Stability does not mean not moving. You just focus 100% on the breathing, thinking of nothing else but of the breathing. Then palms to the sides of the feet. Left leg is back into a low lunge. With a low lunge, top of the foot to the floor, knees to the floor, hips are square, pushing forward diagonally. Back is arching, head is up. Make sure the front knee is not over the toes. Lengthen up some if it is. And feel opened. Even in this pose, you're feeling stable. You're going with the flow. So if you feel like, whoa, I just moved, wobble, go with that wobble. Find the stability throughout the entire yoga routine. That stability is in the movement, in the flexibility, because the foundation is oneness, that you're one with everything. You're one with the movement. I was in a class, somebody came up and walked by and threw me off balance a little bit. I go with that. Stability is in all that because you're not alone. Now, high lunge, just for a second or so. And then downward dog, pushing into it. Arms are straight, legs are straight, tailbones to the ceiling, heels are towards the floor. You're pushing into the pose, finding that spot where you're just as comfortable as you can get. And just focus on the breathing. 100% focus on the breathing, thinking of nothing else but of the breathing. I'm going to go to the plank. My phone up. And then you're going to go into the plank. Fingers wide as you can get them. Little fingers pointing straight out. And you just focus on the breathing, thinking of nothing else but the breathing. Abs are engaged. So the core is tightened. Finding that stability, wherever it may be. So you start to shake and you're like, man, this is too much. Part of that stability is going down to hands and knees. Going back some if you feel like you need to. And just focus on the breathing, thinking of nothing else but of the breathing. Very important to engage the abs because you're working muscles that most of us don't work because we're at a computer or we're driving or we're always sitting. And then back to downward dog, pushing into it. Arms straight, legs straight. Tailbones to the ceiling, heels towards the floor, pushing into the pose. Finding that spot, settle, accept, focus on the breathing. Push a little bit more if you feel like you should or could. If you don't feel like you could or should, then don't. Don't listen to me. Listen to your own body, to your own mind. Then slide into the upper dog, feeling open. Modify the pose how you have to. Again, very important. I keep on repeating it because it's important. There's stability in being able to think, hey, I need to modify this pose. You need to find that stability. That's true stability. Back to downward dog, pushing into it. Arms are straight. Legs are straight. Tailbones to the ceiling. Heels are towards the floor. It's the last downward dog, so if you feel like you should or you could, push into the pose and settle and focus on the breathing and think of nothing else but of the breathing. And wherever you are, push a little bit more if you feel like you could or should. And then we're going to go to a plank. Now with the plank, same thing. Abs are engaged. Little fingers pointing straight out. Oh, I gotta start it. And just focus on the breathing. Think of nothing else but of the breathing. Now, if your wrists are getting tired, just go down some. Do this. You can do that. Some people go out like this. Whatever you need to do, modify it. You're starting to feel pain in the wrist or the feet or the toes or wherever. Modify it so you don't feel it anymore. Same thing, taking that off the yoga mat too. You don't want to have discomfort, even in the so-called real world. Go with the flow. Abs are engaged. And just focus 100% on the breathing. Uh-oh, what's that? And then back to the downward dog. Really, really push into it. Push a little bit more if you feel like you should or could. Get the arms straight, legs are straight, tailbones to the ceiling. Heels are towards the floor, and the head dangles, no tension in the neck. And wherever you are, push a little bit more if you feel like you could or can. And then bring the left foot up between the hands for a low lunge. Do a low lunge. Back foot, with the back foot, top of the foot to the floor, knees to the floor, hips are square, push it forward diagonally, back is arching, head is up. And you're focused 100% on the breathing, thinking of nothing else but of the breathing. Feeling opened. Remember, if you're down a little bit, you're closed up, or so-called closed up, the body does not dictate whether the mind is open. You're taking that off the yoga mat too. So if you're in an enclosed situation, when you accept, boom, you tap into openness. It allows you to see new thinking and ways to get out of that enclosed situation. Or allows you to reinterpret the situation that you're in and make the situation feel like, you know what, this ain't close. It's all in the mind. Focus on the breathing. The high lunge, curl the toes under the back, knee goes up, get the leg as straight as you can, transition pose, and then standing forward bend. Pull yourself in and down. Focus 100% on the breathing, thinking of nothing else but the breathing. And relax into the pose. So although you're pulling yourself down and in, once you're settled, you accept. It's almost like you're not pulling yourself in and down anymore. Coming one with the pose. And then palms together, reach out, up and back, inhale. Turn the palms out, push your down and out, exhale. And you're going to go to mountain pose. And with mountain pose, remember, feet are shoulder width apart, toes go up, spread the toes as wide as you can. Each toe touches the floor one at a time. Knees are bent, hips are tilted, arms are relaxed, shoulders are relaxed, neck is relaxed. And you lengthen up. So you lengthen the skeleton up, and then you line the bones up on the skeleton, wherever that may be for you. Find that spot and just become stable. Again, stability doesn't mean you're stable, firm, and you just stay there against anything that makes you want to wobble. No, you go with it. Go with it. Like I've mentioned, if you have a stick that you find outside and it's strong, you can break it. That's not stability. Once it's broke, it's not stability. But that switch, say off a tree, bends, or a straw bends. You got to be stable. And that's where true strength is. And then flexibility, and be able to change your mind, be able to go with the flow. Now, we're going to focus 100% on the breathing. And we do that by focusing on the belly. As you inhale, the belly swells with air. Notice that when you exhale, the belly goes in. Or you bring your focus to the tip of the nose and watch the air go in and out. So you're watching yourself breathe. Now remember, you're already breathing automatically. So you're letting go and watching yourself breathe. And then what will happen is you'll start to control the breathing, most likely, maybe not, when you realize, hey, I'm controlling my breathing. Just let go and truly just watch it. Or you'll start to think about other things, and then you'll realize, hey, I'm not even thinking about my breathing. Let go, and then just watch yourself breathe. And it's a process. It may happen a few times, more than a few times. And eventually what happens through time and practice and patience is that you realize you are not your thinking. You are not your thoughts. But you're the thing that's watching your thoughts, the thing that's watching yourself breathe. So we're just going to stay here a little bit longer, so just focus 100% on the breathing. Bring the palms together. And that's it. What time is it? Can't see my clock. I have a clock right here. Can't see. So that is number 191. I can't even see my calendar, but I know it's 191 because I wrote it on my calendar before I started. So I will see you tomorrow at 5:30 a.m. Arizona time, Mountain Standard Time. So namaste, peace and love.